into that verse, then we'll pray. We'll get into our notes, because I have a lot of notes that I want to give. Also, we have a worksheet here for you. It's the 5 weeks worth of activity. So the goal is for you guys to see if you got a notebook at home. You can get a fresh notebook from Walmart. If you bougie, go to Target, whichever you would like to get your Barnes & Noble. Get the nice wooden, not the wooden, but the leather ones. You can be able to get those too. But each of these points kind of leans you into processing some questions, processing some tests as you go throughout the next 5 weeks. But we're going to get right into James chapter 1, 2 through 4. For those who's listening and watching online, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. For those on YouTube, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. You'll be able to get all of our videos here on the first Sundays, as well as the random videos and audio messages that I give. If you're listening on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, I want to say thank you guys so much for listening. Feel free to also subscribe and join there. If you're on Apple or Google, please leave us a comment, let you know what you're getting from these messages. I would love to see those. And for those who's watching online, you can actually download, and listening, you can download today's worksheet and the 5-week plan that's accessible for you guys at the moment. Let's get right into James chapter 1, 2 through 4. The Bible reads, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces patience or steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing." Let's pray. Father God, we thank you so much for who you are, the sovereign one that you are, the one that's in control, the one that is interested, involved in all of our lives. We count it an honor, Father God, that you have gathered us here today for you to speak. And I pray, Father God, that I'm a vessel worthy of you to speak through, a vessel humbled, a vessel set aside for you to speak accurately through. So for everything that I say today, I pray, Father, you God breathe it, that you will utilize me in a special way, in an anointed way, in a way that you never used me before. So I welcome you in this place, because God, if you're not in this place, we're wasting our time. So God, sit with us, speak through me, and so we all can learn how to build our most holy faith. And we love you, God, and we count it an honor. But before we get there, I come against every type of demonic spirit, every witchcraft, every spell, every hex, every curse that may be coming against me speaking today, and maybe coming against this moment. This moment is holy ground for God's use. So we cancel every plot and every scheme. We thank you, Father, for divine protection. We thank you, Lord, for divine wisdom. We thank you, Lord, for just being involved. And every demonic spirit has to honor your presence. And we appreciate you, Father, nonetheless. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen. So there's 3 key words that we're going to be talking about today, or 3 key words of this installment of this verse. The key words are count, know, and let. You can see that in verse 2 through 4. The Bible says, "Count it all joy." The next one is, so when you meet various trials of various kinds, you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And the last one is let. Let steadfastness or patience have a perfect work. The key word that we're going to elaborate on today is the word know. Let's get right into the problem. Many believers are unable to interpret and or interact with either the season they are in or the test they are facing. Many believers are unable to interpret and or interact with either the season they are in or the tests they are facing. Their lack of discernment is affecting the development of their faith. Many believers are unable to interpret, perceive, calculate, and or interact emotionally, mentally, physically with either the season they are in or the tests they are currently facing. Their lack of discernment is affecting the development of their faith. Faith is a muscle. It is very important for us to understand that in order for us to operate and to fight the battles that are in our future, we have to ensure that our faith is developed. Our current faith must be greater than our future fights. If not, we will fall. Our fellowship, our foundation, our faith should always be greater than the current fight that we're facing or the potential one. The problem that many of us have is that many of us are not incorporating the training, the purging, the cleansing that the Spirit of God wants to bring in us. I don't think it's a mind problem. I don't think it's a body problem. It's a heart problem. Many of us do not understand why we engage more in the world than we are with God. It's because many of us, if we examine our hearts are not really with him. We honor him with our lips. We honor him with our hands, but our hearts are far from him. When we do not fellowship with God and we're not flowing through and following through and building the fruit, we won't be able to be as effective against the future fights that we all are going to have to face. And I'm sure everyone in this room is either leaving a fight, in the middle of a fight, or going into a fight. And we have to make sure that our faith is strong enough to tackle, to wrestle, to execute authority, to implement power, to ensure that the enemy knows who's in charge. Because each and every one of us that bears the Spirit of God has the current opportunity to win every single battle you face, but in your own strength, you are incapable. It's only through our fellowship with God. It's only through the fundamentals of the practice and the fellowship that we incorporate ourselves in that would guarantee us to win. Many believers are unable to interpret and or interact with the season they are in or the tests they are facing. Interpret and interact are two important words because that's all we do on a day-to-day basis. We're all interpreting, we're all perceiving based upon our education, based upon our spiritual, mental, emotional, physical knowledge. We are able to interpret, but the sad thing is, seeing that some of us, many of us in our world as far as believers, are not as spiritually sound as we need to, we are actually unable to interpret, to actually read the season and the test that we're going through. Right now, can you see your current test accurately? At this moment, can you see that this season that has been gifted to you has gifted to you for a reason, with the main reason being your development? I gotta always check my heart to make sure, my mind to make sure that I'm interpreting my season correctly. When you have no spiritual connection, when you lack fellowship with the Father, you are setting yourself up to misinterpret what you're going through. What the world may see or say is failure, or what the world may see is not fashionable, it's not cool, that is not current, that's not on the trail to success. If you're not spiritually sound, you will find yourself leaving out of the gifted season, fighting against the gifted test that the Father wants you to go through, because he knows the more you begin to engage with him, the more you will be able to interpret what you're facing. The next point, interaction. If I can interpret, and my interpretation is coming from my intimacy, if I'm able to be intimate with God and become more intrigued about him every day, and as I begin to enter into that presence daily, my interpretation and my interactions become limited. That when I interpret a thing, I know exactly what it means. That when I interact with a thing, when I interact with my season, I know exactly what it is for me. Their lack of discernment is affecting the development of their faith. Their lack of discernment is affecting the development of their faith. The main verse that we're going to be talking about is verse 3. The Bible says, for you, let's read from the beginning. Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know. It's almost like James was trying to let us know, for you guys already know, or you should know, that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. That in order for my faith to develop, it must be tested. In order for me to develop my faith, I must have deeper discernment. When I lack discernment, it affects my development of my faith. That when you fight against the thing that God has to go, that's why I tell a lot of people that message me, or after I read a lot of messages and hear a lot of people's hearts, whether young or old, it shows me their spiritual maturity. That many people will say, why would God allow, or why do I have to go through this? But when you live life long enough, and when you actually engage with life thoroughly enough, you will begin to see how intricate and how involved your Father has been in your life. And the Bible says it's the goodness of God that draws men to repentance. But that word goodness, we fail to interpret correctly. Goodness, what is good? Many people think goodness is what's given versus what's been taken away. God's goodness oftentimes is more evident in what was removed, what was removed or denied, more so than what was given. If we understood that the season that you and I are going through right now, the test that we're facing is not there by accident, but it's there to develop our faith. Let's keep going to cause. The cause to this problem, and I'll read the problem again. Many believers are unable to interpret and or interact with either the season they are in or the test they are facing. Their lack of discernment is affecting the development of their faith. The cause of this problem is due to ignorance and the lack of application. Ignorance and the lack of application. Ignorance. Every day I have to make it my job to position myself to learn, to position me to know. The word know often in the Bible was a word of intimacy. Many people know about God more than they know him personally. The more I begin to know him in a deeper way, the more I begin to engage with him and ask this God that created this plane, that created this unmovable establishment, that if I interact with this God and say, God, who are you? God, what is your purpose? The more I begin to know him, the more I begin to engage, the more I begin to interpret and to interact. But if I continue to allow myself to remain ignorant, if I allow myself to not engage with God like I need to, then how will I be able to apply? Many of us know what we need to do, but many of us don't know how to apply. Knowledge is power, but knowledge with application is even more power. How many of us are completely ignorant of what the Father wants us to do at this moment? How many of us, we know what to do, but we fail to apply? Let's keep going. Next point. Everything around us is a potential teacher and a potential test. Everything around us is a potential teacher and a potential test. What around you is trying to teach you? That coworker, that friend, that breakup, that opportunity, what are the things around your life right now that you're ignoring their lessons? You heard me say this many times. There's two types of classrooms. There's a classroom of observation or the classroom of experience. Many people, bulk of the people, and the reason why we love the classroom of experience is because we just want to experience things because of our flesh. Our flesh desires. Our flesh wants to know what sex is like. Our flesh wants to know what partying or wants to know what relationships are like. We're so intrigued by the interaction of a thing versus the interpretation of a thing. We're more consumed with how, I just want to know for myself. But a smart person learns from other people's, a smart person learns from their mistakes. But a wise person learns from the mistakes of others. That when I take the time to say, no, I'm going to limit myself in what I do. I'm going to take the time to seek the Father. I'm going to acknowledge him in all of my ways. I'm going to engage with him in a deeper way so that when I'm in that moment, my body doesn't want to know the situation first, but my spirit is discerning it. Anytime you allow your body, soul, or mind to engage with something before you allow the Spirit of God to process it, you're going to set yourself up for failure. I must take my time. I must acknowledge God in all of my ways. I must engage him in a deeper way, because if I don't, ignorance and lack of application will cause me to miss out on the lessons and the tests that I'm facing today. James was saying, man, for that you will know that the testing of your faith produces patience or steadfastness. What do you even know about God? What do you even know about this walk? What do you even know? What do you want to know out of life? Because the more I know him, the better I will engage with my world. Let's keep going for time's sake. Let's go to our transition. For you know that. There's 4 questions that all of us must answer. What you know, what you want to know, what you need to know, and what you apply. All of us are incorporating within or involved in these 4 questions. What do you know? What do you want to know? What do you need to know? And what are you applying? What do you actually know? The enemy preys on our ignorance. What you don't know about a thing will lead you to the mismanagement of a thing. What I lack in understanding biblically about relationships, marriage, ministry, business, when I don't have a biblical worldview, when I cannot interpret things through a biblical lens, when I do not engage with compassion and zeal that's guarded by wisdom, when I lack these different things, then what I don't know will be used against me. That people don't know anything about spiritual warfare. People don't know much about what's the biblical perspective about love and marriage and relationship. Many people just trying things out without the manual. God gave us a manual, which is His Word. And it's our responsibility to seek it, to engage it, to say, Father, what am I supposed to be? Who am I supposed to be as a man? What do I know now about manhood? Every man has to ask himself the question. The foundational principle question is, what do I actually know about being a man? We ask social media, we ask other men, we ask created things how to be what we were created to be versus asking the Creator. The Creator is the only one that knows how you should operate as a man, and for the ladies, as a woman. But since the fall, our depraved hearts are completely against the Spirit of God operating us. Our flesh knows no good thing. Our flesh wants what it wants. It wants sex. It wants drugs. It wants companionship before the season. It wants all these different things. It doesn't want to walk with God. We are in a generation where we can get anything at an access, that we can look it up online. We can go to a store. We have so much access, but we deny the greatest thing that Jesus ever did. The greatest moment of what Jesus did, the second greatest moment after Him being seated, was the tearing of the veil. The tearing of the veil said, my whole purpose was for you to have access with the Father so that you'll know everything that you need to know about life. But it comes with tests. Because a faith that can't be, a faith that is not tested, is a faith that cannot be trusted. So why do we get so upset with God? Oh man, when you've done anything for a long period of time, you've been single for many years, I hear you, I feel you. You've been waiting for this moment of opportunity and promotion, I know. You've been at this thing for 15, 12, 9 years and you ain't seen God come through. God don't care about how the world moves. God don't care about how fast everything around His principles go. God is saying, my way is the best way, even if it takes the longest time. Because many of us want a thing versus being able to steward a thing. We want a person versus being able to steward of the person. Because anybody who's been in a relationship know that a human being is not a machine. That a human being has nuances, they have different backgrounds, that you have to be whole. And God is saying, I'm looking for people who are willing to go through the process of becoming whole. I have to be whole for her, because if I'm not whole for her, anything that's leaking in me will cause a defect or a separation in her life. That's why I take what God says about a man and being a husband seriously. Because how can I lead her if I'm first not following Jesus? Every day, I have to make sure I meet Jesus so that I can follow Him, so that He can lead me. What do you know? What do you know right now? Like, that's a real question. That's a real, like you are the sum of what you know. If all you know is what you know, then what you don't know, you have to ask, would that be used against me? Next question. What do you want to know? Some of us, we bless our hearts. We think we know everything. The person that believes they know it all will soon fall. The person who knows nothing acquires everything they need to acquire. Every room I go in, even if I'm the man of the hour, I'm a student. When I work at the elementary school, I don't think I'm better than those kids, because God is using those kids to teach me. Pride has a way of stifling our spiritual education. Our heart, our sin nature, doesn't want to know the deep things of God, because the more I know the deep things of God, the more my flesh must die. And the flesh is like, no, I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to satisfy what I desire. But what do you want to know? What are you seeking for? Because knowledge is power. It gets you power. But not all power God wants you to have. Look at Eve. Satan tempted her, said, man, don't you want to be equal? Don't you want to be like God, knowing good for evil? The reason why God did not give man that power, because man was incapable of processing that power. That if a man endeavors to know what God knows, if we knew everything that God knew or knows, we won't be able to process it. We won't be able to process it. If we knew how we was going to die, if we knew just how toxic everything was, if God just took the scale off of your eyes for 10 seconds, you will close your eyes immediately, because he says, the more you see, the more you know, the more, that's why if you look at your life, I know for me, when I was 17, I was in college, I was 19 or 20, and I was in my dorm room, and I saw a vision. I saw my life. I saw thousands of people. I saw impact. It was prophesied over my life many times, and when I was a young boy, it felt good. I was like, we about to get this. We about to take over. We about to, God, you and I, you against the world, just me and you. God always shows you snapshots, because he knows if I showed you the full journey, if I showed you that it was going to take you 10, 12, 15 years, if I showed you all, look at Joseph, all he showed him was a dream. He didn't show him the pit. He didn't show him the betrayal. He didn't show him the pit. He didn't show him the prison. He didn't show him Potiphar's house. He didn't show him none of it. He just said, I'm going to give you something to keep your eye on, so you know that if I showed you it, I can seek you and I'll send you to it. But we have to have faith in the middle. Listen, Joseph gave up what was damnable in his heart. Man, if you got a dream talking about you greater than your pops and them, and you start running your mouth about a thing, sometimes you got to go through certain things to tame your tongue, to tame your actions. Some things you have to go through, because I'm so glad, and I had many ambitions by 30. I had a lot of goals by 30. I'm 32 now, about to be 33. I had a lot of goals by a certain time, but I'm so glad God did not allow me to grasp it, because these unhumble hands, that lustful and prideful heart, that I am the king of my castle mind, would have caused me to squander it all. I need to know him every day. Nervousness is not what I am about marriage, about having children. Nervousness is not the word as far as this ministry. And nervous is not really the job. It's not really the emotion. It's the responsibility. It is the fact that I'm completely aware that I am incapable without him. So that calls a level of desperation. That builds a level of dependency that says, God, try me. Test me. God, listen, I don't want a 76 on this test. I don't want to have a D or a C or an F on this test. Try me until I pass with flying colors. Because God, I do not want to get to a place without your help. What you need to know. What do you need to know about manhood, womanhood, relationships? What do you need to know about life? What do you need to know? If you don't know your purpose, then how will you pursue what you need to know? If I know that I'm supposed to be this preacher, this person that helps a lot of people, if I know my purpose, then I know the test I have to take. If I know what is required to be above reproach, what is required to be a steward, what is required to be a husband, what is required of me to be a father, if I know what's required, I'm okay with the test. Because I know to whom much is given. What's the rest of the verse? Much is required. We ask God for much, but we don't want to take the test. To whom much is given, much is required. And the more that I engage in this life, the more I know that life is more full of tests than trophies. And if I know that, I will welcome the test. What do you need to apply? It's the last question. All of us know what we need to do, but how many of us are doing it? Let's go to the definition of know or knowledge. And then we'll get through these real short, and then we'll get Alicia up here. Definition of know or knowledge. Facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education. The theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. Facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education. I love that. All of us are acquiring facts, information, and skills through one of two places, either experiences or education. Notice the word knowledge is not just facts and information. That it's actually skills. What are you skilled at? What are you a master of? If I know that I follow a good master, then I know that he wants me to be a master of something. It's sad that many believers have been mastered by things versus being a master of things. That our purpose, our giftings, our desires master us more than we are masters of our gifts. Facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education. Next point. Your knowledge is what you know to a certain ledge. Your knowledge is what you know to a certain ledge. What you do from that ledge is application. The word knowledge has two words, know and ledge. Your knowledge is what you know to a certain point, to a certain ledge. All of us know something to a certain ledge. But what we do from that ledge is application. Knowledge is power secured, but applied knowledge is power shown. Knowledge, you heard it said that knowledge is power. But knowledge is really just power secured. I have the power. I know it. But applied knowledge is power shown. What's the purpose of having this concealed power, but not empowering others with it? Not empowering ourselves to execution. What ledge have you been sitting on? The ledge that God has led you. What ledge have you been sitting on for years, but never took off of it to fly? What ledge have you been resting on that you have yet to apply? Everybody knows too much sugar causes diabetes. Everybody knows a lot of Lowry's for many years causes hypertension. A lot of people know that stress is the core of sicknesses. But why don't many of us apply the antagonist to that issue? Why don't many of us take the time to say, I'm going to put God to his word? The best way to build your faith forward is to look how faithful God has been in your past. The more I see how faithful he has been in my past will give me the faith forward, because God is our bread of life. But every day God gives us daily bread. Why did God say daily bread, not weekly bread, not monthly bread, not yearly bread? He says, I give you my daily bread. That means faith is a day by day, test by test, step by step situation. How many of us have allowed our daily breads to spoil because we're not interpreting? God, I get to you when I get home. Imagine a life of a believer that gives God the first fruits of their day. Imagine if we grow into a place that God gets 10% of our 24 hours. Imagine what life we will have the more that we say, I want to know more about you. That's why I don't care about what show is on. I don't care who's playing who. I don't care what's going on, because I know that the greatest episode, the greatest actor, not the greatest actor, but the person I want to learn from is with me every day. And the more I get to know him, the more I get to know myself. The more I get to know myself, the more I get to know the test that I'm facing. I don't want to be a person that allows my daily bread to spoil because I'm not appreciative of the one who's given me life. You know, God makes days daily. This is the day that the Lord has made. It didn't say this is the week that the Lord has made. This is the month that the Lord has made. This is the year that the Lord has made. And eternity is done. But every day, God has made a day for you. He made the day so interwoven for your development that as you engage in that day, you would have thought that that person was an enemy of yours. You would have thought that your boss was against you. You may have thought that this is the next day without a job. But if you would have known that God made this day more deeper than your carnal desires, then you would take a step back and say, God, show me what you made for me in this day. If we just took it one moment at a time, becoming more patient, saying, God, if I want to be that, I know I have to go through tests. On your sheet of paper right now, write down the person you want to be 10 years from now. Whether what kind of job you want, how much money you want. I want you to write down the profession that you want. I just want you to write down everything you would like to have 10 years from now. I give you 10 seconds. For those watching online, take the time on a sheet of paper and write down the person you would like to be, the things you would like to have, the love you would like to have 10 years from now. As you're writing that, this week I want you to take some time to ask yourself, what must I go through to become that? Oh, man. At 21, I was like, God, I'm ready. When these young boys and these young men and young women come to me and ask me questions about ministry, and the zeal is something to be admired. But I tell them, you ain't lived long yet. Some of us haven't lived enough life to lead lives. You have to live to lead. Jesus was unknown for 30 years. Why? Fully God, fully man. Fully God, but the man had to be developed fully. He understood that the flesh is still flesh. There was no sin in it. But he says, man, I have to still allow this body to grow into maturity, not just for mature purpose, but for the manifestation of God's purpose. Some of us are matured. We're just waiting on the manifestation of God's purpose. There was plenty of people in the Bible that had to wait for the manifestation. And when you know that in order for me to be this kind of person, in order for me to incorporate this kind of life, in order for me to go through this, what tests must I go through? And if you understood the person that you want to be, the person that God has shown you, and the test that you have to face, you will be more aware, okay, this is nothing but a test. James says, for you know, don't you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness, which is another word for endurance, which is another word for patience, for another word of actually following through. If we knew what God wanted us to apply, we'll acknowledge him more. Knowledge is power secured, but applied knowledge is power shown. You are what you apply. What do you apply every day? You are right now what you apply. What I need to know is important. But knowledge is nothing without application. Let's keep going. Knowing the meaning of a season. This is important. Knowing the meaning of a season or a test establishes peace, patience, and praise. Knowing the meaning of a season or a test, it's important to know the meaning or the reason behind a season or a test, establishes peace, patience, and praise. But when we don't know the meaning of a test or a season, we become frustrated, impatient, and we begin to blame. Knowing the meaning of a season or a test establishes peace, patience, and praise. But when we don't know the meaning of a test or a season, we become frustrated, impatient, and we begin to blame. When a person doesn't know the reason for the season, not just Christmas, but the reason for all seasons, and the reasons for the test that you're facing, they become frustrated. God, why? What's taking so long? God, where you at, man? You just get up so upset, frustrated. Like, why is things not working how I envision? You become impatient, man. Listen, forget this. I'm going to go do me. God, you taking too long. She cute. I'm going to go over there. He's handsome, ladies. You be like, I'm just going to do me. I'm going to make myself available, and you just do what you want because you become impatient. Or you begin to blame. Well, if it wasn't for my father, I wouldn't be here. It's because my father did this, because my mother did this. You start blaming people. That has nothing to do with the test. But when a person knows the meaning of a season or the reasons behind a test, it establishes peace. Knowledge brings peace. I remember times when I was, in my 20s, and I felt pain anywhere. I went to WebMD. WebMD make you feel like you about to leave here. You got one pain in the back. You just did back yesterday, but you're so stressed about life. Man, I got this pain. It's my kidneys. You start going to, what's the symptoms of kidney cancer? You start, but when you know for a fact, you got tested, and you know, you don't got no cancer, boy. It brings peace. Knowledge brings peace. You heard me say this many times, that the peace of God surpasses all understanding. The peace of God surpasses. That verse never says or guarantees that God immediately gives you what you're seeking him for. But what he immediately gives you is his peace. That if you know that he's present as you're going through this test and this trial, if you know that he's present, you can count this situation as joyful because you know for a fact, I know God led me here. Listen, I'm sure Moses felt crazy and strange. How would you bring us out of Egypt with all of Egypt's gold? I got 2 million people behind me, and you bring me to the Red Sea? He said, God sometimes said, I bring you to places where your enemies will die. Sometimes I got to bring you to places that you think this is a dead end, but this is the place your enemies die. The purging, the dry ground. That many of us, we get so confused. Why am I even here? And then you look to God and God be like, man, you be like, God, can you part this for me? Versus saying, hey, what's in my hands? What's in my life? What has I been anointed to do? I have faith in God that I will progress forward. And sometimes when you know why you are where you are, it's not for your gratification, it's not for your glories, but for His. God knows the exact storm, the exact situation, to ensure that the skeptic and the saint has no other option but to give Him glory. When you know what you know, and you know that God is with you, it gives you peace. It gives you patience. When I know the meaning of this season, it gives me patience. It's not my time. Are you okay for it not being your time? That's a real question. Because all of us are waiting for a moment. We love the moment of promotion, but we don't appreciate or prepare for the stewardship of that promotion. I got the job, Josh. Great, man. Are you going to be on time Monday? Are you going to steal stuff from the job? Josh, we got married. Bet. The wedding was amazing. The cake was awesome. The shrimp cocktail was pretty good. But are you ready for day one of marriage? We love promotion. You know the reason why people love the moment of promotion? Because that's where the bulk of the celebration is. Everybody celebrates the start of something. But will the full amount of people that celebrated your start is going to be there at your middle? Are they going to be there to still champion you as you go through? But when I know that God just doesn't want to promote His children, but He wants to promote His children into being the people that can steward the promotion, then when you understand that, you'll say, God, I'm not ready to be promoted. Because when you have the right perspective and you examine your heart often, you know if you're ready or not. We lie to ourselves. We think we're ready. But if we really ask ourselves the tough questions, we'll be able to say, I ain't ready. Men, are you man enough to tell that woman, I love you, but I'm not ready to lead you? Ladies, are you ready to say, you know what? I love you. I know you want to take me to the next level, but I'm not ready. Ready doesn't mean necessarily that I'm ready in my own strength. Readiness means, am I fully knowledgeable about what I'm getting myself into? And am I fully dependent on who God is? When I get married, I ain't going to be like perfect husband. I'm just going to be a husband that's perfectly placed. Because if I'm connected to the source, then when I find myself in an unfamiliar territory, I can tap into God. How am I supposed to be a husband in this moment? How am I supposed to be a servant in this moment? Patience. The next word, praise. There's a song, I forgot who it's by, Marvin Sapp. He says, praise Him in advance. We like to praise God after something, but we don't want to praise Him before something. Praise reflects your intimacy and fellowship with God. Because if you know He got you, you can praise Him in advance. I ain't going to bug God about what I don't have. I ain't going to petition to God. God, you already settled that. That's why you have to know this is the day that the Lord has made. My pastor has said a couple of weeks ago, he says, man, I forgot what he said. He said, he talked about the verse about this is the day the Lord has made. But out of our mouths, we will say stuff like, until I get paid on Friday. Until I get this on the 15th. And God's saying, I can get it to you today if I need to. But many of us, we don't understand that if we just take it one day at a time and post a video at the right time and say this to the person at the right time being led by the discernment and leading of the Holy Spirit. When we operate in these different things, you will see your provisions come, if not almost daily, because he made that day for your provision. We just don't like our food being delivered by ravens. We just don't like having to sit by brooks for years. We don't like manna. We tired of manna and egg cheese sandwiches. We tired. Because life said, don't you want some lamb? Don't you want some chicken? Don't you want some? And God said, look, you fed though. Paul said, I know how to be abased and abound. Listen, your boy know how to eat good at Whole Foods, and I know how to get my 2 for $3 sausage and biscuit sandwich at Bojangles. I know how to go back to my college days and get me a pack of ramen noodles and make something good. Like, I know how it is to get the, I know I've experienced the greatness of life and the grind of life, and you got to know each. Because if something goes down here and life happens in the country and things happen, and you get mad at God because God ain't bringing you bison burgers, and God ain't bringing you no salmon, you got to eat tilapia for a while, like, it's okay. Because what if God sends you to a country? You know what? You know what I have to prepare myself for? Because God don't use bougie people.
Exactly.
God don't use bougie people. If I go to India right now, if I go to Nigeria right now, if I go to any other country, it's an offense if I don't eat their food. If I'm too bougie over here, you mad that God ain't sent you nowhere because your hand is too holy to shake somebody else's hand. You'd rather send checks to a neighborhood versus your feet being in a neighborhood. You'd rather just pat them on the back when it's time to pack up book bags, but you don't want to be in a school and mentor nobody. Like, God don't use people. It's cool. It looks good. Churches celebrate every Sunday how much money they give, and they do all these great things, but nobody wants to make disciples. Nobody wants to get down to the dirty business. Jesus was a dirty minister. Jesus didn't just come and preach in mega church. Jesus said, I'll talk to this woman who's caught in an act of adultery. I'm not too holy. If God ain't too, let me change my word. If God ain't too good for our bad, then why we act too good for other people's bad? Listen. You wonder why God ain't used you. Because Jesus talked about there was a wedding feast. And the man began to ask people to come to his event. I think it was a wedding feast or an event. But he asked people to come. People made excuses on why they didn't come. So that man went under the bridges, got the homeless. He says, what you do to them, you do to me. If you don't want to feed them, if you don't want to give them water, if you don't want to sit there and listen to them, but you always got somewhere to go, then how can I use you? If you are not even kind to people who are kind to you, how are you going to be kind to people who have nothing to offer you? We got to get to a place to know why we are even created. We have our own missions, but we don't want to follow the commission. We got all these agendas and all these different things, and we sleep good at night because we know that they got the check to buy the baby's book bags. We done did all these great things, but how many of us are saying, God, I'll go wherever you need me? And sometimes God doesn't write on the board where he wants you to be. He just says, you have my eyes. If you see a need, you fulfill that need. Where are we, or when are we going to get to a place where we know God's heart more than we know or want to know his hand? You can't get to his hand until you get through his heart. And if he can't trust you with his heart, he can't trust you what you want from his hands. Let's go to the testing of. And I'm going to finish this part now. We'll get out of here. The testing of. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. The definition of testing, number 1. Take measures to check the quality, performance, or reliability of something, especially before putting it into widespread use or practice. To test something is to take measures. God takes measures. He takes time to check the quality, performance, the reliability of us. especially before putting it into widespread use or practice. Everything before it gets to the public has to be tested. Because if it's not tested and someone gets in an accident and they sue, then now you are in trouble because you didn't take the measures to test the quality, performance, or reliability. The reason why God doesn't push us into situations because we bear his name. Now, you can use his name and do what you want. But if you really chosen by him, God says, my name is on the line. How many people jumped the gun, did not go through the measures, and have defamed his name? But for those who want to do things for his glory, he has to take measures to test our quality. What quality of a person are you? None of us perfect, but we should be progressive. We should be progressing into a better version of who we need to be for God's ultimate glory. He also wants to test our performance. We're good people. We just don't perform well. Oh, man, listen. God loves these three godly things. He loves a godly mind, a godly heart, and godly hands. He wants to know, how well will you perform under pressure? Things become tested, not for the person, but for the pressure a person may put it under. Demons have a set pressure for you. Jesus even told one of his disciples, says, man, Satan wants you to sift you like wheat. The enemy knows that the best way to defeat you is to only fight you. The best way to defeat you is for you to operate in a fight in your own merit. When we understand that I just don't have to be a good-hearted person, but I have to perform well. At 315 pounds, I couldn't perform well. Why would God put me on planes? And I noticed, why didn't I travel much last year? Deep down inside, I felt some type of way about why I didn't travel last year. And you know what God pricked in my heart? Get your body in order. When I was 315 pounds, man, this gospel thing, this preaching this word stuff, is not just physically heavy, but it's spiritually heavy. Start a ministry if you want to. Start a church if you want to. Go out there and be on the mission field if you want to. But if it ain't your season, if it ain't your timing, that thing will break you down. Oh, even if it is your season or your time, you have to make sure that you stay girded up, strengthened, because you do not know that your advice to that young lady, that video you put online, that thing you did for God, was like dropping bombs in the devil's kingdom. So what we do is, glory to God, we did something amazing. Man, that was powerful. Look how God used me. And them demons like, man, you just dropped. And you expect me not to retaliate? If North Korea drops a bomb in America today, America's not just going to sit here and be like, well, that was nice. Bombs are sent to our direction. When you know that what comes with following Christ is not something cute and cuddly, but you're thrown in the middle of a war that's been going on for 10,000 years, you'll take this life seriously. You'll take preparation seriously. You'll be like, God, test me, try me to the very end. You know what scares me? It's not how well I started, but will I finish? Will I finish? I don't want to be that guy that started off well, but didn't finish. Those that endure to the end shall be saved. You don't know the measure of a person the Bible talks about when they start with you. You know the measure of a person when they finish with you. That's why when growing a ministry into, I don't care about who starts with me. I don't care who joins me when it's hot and cool and there's girls all around it. I don't care about that. I care about who's going to be there when they get ugly. Who's going to pray? Who's going to be there? This ministry ain't about, and ministry shouldn't be about how dope we are online and how many people we have. This should be about how many lives have been converted and changed and discipled and held accountable for, period. But until we get the right mindset, we won't know that in order for me to be the person I need to be, I have my quality, my performance, and my reliability must be tested. Gideon, man. It's cool we got 30,000 boys behind you with them guns. It's cool. I can go to war with 30,000. You know. I bet you Gideon was like, who we facing? We got KD, Steph, and Clay. Man, we got Boogie this year. Who we facing? And we walk into these places. We got 30,000. God said, man, numbers, just numbers. And God said, bring them by the water and see how they drink for themselves. Most of us, when we are in the middle of a war, we drink for ourselves. But the people who are able to fight are the people who says, I'm going to nourish myself, but I'm going to keep watch as well. God will oftentimes bring you to sweet waters to see how you respond. Do you just dip your face in and be like, this for me? Or are you a person who says, you know what, this is a great life right now, but I got to stay watching. The moment you stop watching, it's the moment you begin to waste away. Because the enemy just says, it's not who you see, it's the person or the thing you can't see that's destroying you. How many of us, because we haven't been tested, possibly could be having cancer developing on us? How many of us, because we haven't been tested or haven't really been living and eating right, have something in us right now? Cancer in the beginning never feels bad. It don't feel bad. And the devil loves cancerous things in your life because he knows it ain't going to feel bad until it materializes. Some of us are at stage 4 of spiritual death and we don't even know it. All because we're too lazy. We don't want to go to God and make him our ultimate source. And our quality diminishes. Our performance is poor. And we're rarely ever reliable. The number 2 definition of testing is to reveal the strengths or capabilities of someone or something by putting them under strain. Reveal the strengths or capabilities of someone or something by putting them under strain. That word strain. Before a branch can bear more fruit, Jesus said it has to be pruned. I have to be pruned. I'm 32 years old. Man, life's amazing now. But this life, with the Josh 5 years ago, wouldn't be an amazing life. The Josh 5 years ago had goals and dreams. This one right here has a better perspective about life. If it wasn't for the pruning that I went through, my perspective and my patterns wouldn't have changed. You have to be stretched. You have to be uncomfortable. I know you wish you was out of that job and God made no other jobs available because he said this is the job that's going to strain you, stretch you. Man, every job since I was 12, everything, every vivid, pivotal thing in my life, I am so thankful for. Because if it wasn't for those tests, I would not be able to stand as the man I am today. And how many tests are you thankful for? I'm so glad God was like, no, boy, you got to repeat the 5th grade of spiritual education another year. I'm glad God held me back. And he has to hold us back because it will reveal to us our strengths and capabilities. Last questions, and we'll get to the faith box, and we'll have a couple of poems from Alicia. The questions you have to ask about being tested is, what is the quality of your faith? Right now, what is the quality of your faith? If your mom was to die right now, will you have faith? Not die. If your mom was to get cancer or some disease, would you have faith? If you was to lose your job right now, you got an email today saying that Monday's your last day. Do you have faith for that? Do you have faith at this moment for the unimaginable? Do you have faith for that? It's not what we know that crips our faith. It's what creeps up on us that breaks us. And sometimes God said, man, I'm warning you to build your faith. I'm warning you not to take these lessons for granted. Stop talking in the back of the class. Stop looking out the window. Hear me. Study me. Because there is a storm coming. Whether you like it or not, there is a storm coming for you. But if you got built your life on the rock, you may lose a couple of shingles and may have 2 windows busted. But you won't lose yourself. But when you build yourself on sand, and you ain't take time to get inspected, you ain't take time to do nothing, when that storm comes, oh, how great the fall of that thing. The quality of your faith. It's not about the quantity, it's about the quality. Even if you have the faith the size of a mustard seed, the key word of that is it is a seed. That it doesn't stay that way. That if I nurture it, if I grow it, and it becomes pure and genuine and what it is, oh man, that faith will be amazing. Next question, how well does your faith perform under pressure? How well does your faith perform under pressure? Pressure's coming. You know, there's certain soldiers in the army that has to go through, I forgot what the training they have to go through, prisoner of war training. They have to go through that training because if you become a prisoner, you gotta keep your mouth shut. You have to go through so much so that just in case you have been captured, you will be able to fulfill your assignment. To whom much is given, much is required. And there are certain things you have to go to, because if you become a prisoner of a situation, if you become a prisoner of a moment, not a prisoner, but if you become a present in a moment that is trying you, you have to be able to know how to process that situation. I build myself up in my most holy faith daily because I don't know what's going to come tomorrow. I have to build my faith today because what comes tomorrow, I got people watching how I'm going to handle it. And if I just play around and just be like, life is good, life is great, there's valleys and mountaintops in life. You're going to go through hills and valleys. And I'm not talking about you going through like crazy stuff. What I'm saying is you're going to have to face some things. One day when my mom turns 90-something years old, I'm going to have to process her passing. There's going to come a situation where I'm going to have to process certain things in my life. And if I don't have my faith strengthened, that thing will destroy me. What is that thing that is coming that you are ignoring the signs of that could topple you? How reliable is your faith? Can God trust your faith? You know, I know, JD, you got kids, man. People have kids in here. Can I carry it? Can I do it? Oh, great faith. But your body ain't strong enough to do this. God would love to hand you something, but do you know marriage is heavy? Marriage is heavy. Success and money is heavy. And for those who lift weights, if you may look strong, but you gotta have strength. That God be like, I want to hand you this, but if I hand you this, you ain't gonna be able to carry it. It ain't about carrying it for a few seconds. You got to have muscle endurance. You got to be able to carry that thing, and you got to, you want that woman who can carry it with you. That man who can carry it with you. Be very careful how you handle marriage, because the person that you're married to, you got to make sure they are equal strength, that they're able to carry what you're carrying as well. But God has to See how reliable your faith is. Last but not least, how wide do you want to spread? And is your faith flexible and strong enough to sustain that spread? The definition says, take measures to check the quality, performance, or reliability of something, especially before putting it into widespread use or practice. How wide do you want to spread, and is your faith flexible and strong enough to sustain that spread? You got to know your scope. I talked about this in my book or in the video, that not all scopes are equal. Not all local people with a local scope can handle being married to a man or woman with a global scope. Some people with a statewide scope probably can't handle somebody with a regional scope. That if you know just how far God wants to stretch you, you know you got to say, I got to make sure I'm flexible and strong enough to handle the weight of that. Oh, it's cool to jet set, and I'm traveling around the country speaking all these different places. I'm being promoted, I'm going here. But if you don't eat right, if you don't exercise, if you don't take care of yourself, that blessing becomes a burden. My final thoughts. What is steadfastness? Throughout the week of September, I'll break these points down more elaborately, and we'll break some of these things down throughout the month. And we'll get into our exercise, not exercise, but our 5-week plan here, and then we'll have Alicia do a couple of poems, and we'll fellowship for a little bit and get home. Final thought, steadfastness. The definition of steadfastness is firm in belief, determination, or adherence, loyalty. So you mean to tell me that he's testing my faith to produce loyalty, firmness in belief, determination, adherence. Those qualities are very important for anything that you engage in life. God is looking for loyal people. People who will stay steadfast, unmovable, always abounding. People who will say, I'm going to remain patient. I'm going to remain firm in my belief. No matter what the atheists say, no matter what the black Hebrew Israelites say, no matter what the Jews or Islamic, it don't matter what anybody say, you stay firm. It doesn't matter what they say about money. It doesn't matter. You stay firm because you know he owns a cattle on 1,000 head. He will supply all your needs according to his riches and glory. You stay firm. We have to go through these tests so that we can stay firm when facing certain things that may try to tackle us away from our stance. So many of us, we're not steadfast enough. So the moment a wind blows, we leave God. That's why God is sick and tired of poor weather friends. He's sick and tired of people that only come to him when things are bad. He's looking for people who say, I'm all weather friend for God. God, I'm there with you in the sun. I'm there with you in the storm. I'm going to stand with you even to death. And for some of us, it may cost us our life. But these tests is for us to stand firm. Not for him, yes, but not only for him, and not only for us, but for those that's watching our lives. People are waiting to see a marriage that's standing firm. A single man standing firm. A single woman standing firm. A wife standing firm. A husband standing firm. People are looking for business people, ministry, who are standing firm. That if they really audit your private life, would your life be steadfast for him? Your steadfast not proving how great you stand for God when everybody's watching. He wants to know, will you pass that pornography test tonight? Will you pass that booty call tonight? Will you pass it? Or will you always finding yourself falling into it? Will you pass that moment of cheating and greed and lying and deceitfulness and manipulation? Will you stand fast when no one's watching? That's the test. Because if I can stand firm when no one's watching, I'll stand firm when everyone's auditing me. Because there's going to come a time, sin will always cause you to slip up. It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time when your phone's sitting there and you ain't delete your history. And someone picks up your phone, they see the last thing on your phone. It's only a matter of time. When your wife or your husband catches you, like you can't hide sin. Sin cannot be hidden. It wants to be seen. The sin nature, the carnal self of us, it don't want to be hidden. It's like a person that says, man, I'm here, I'm the life of the party. It wants to be fed. A clean life hidden will exhibit a clean life publicly, even when pressed or audited. Last point, God tests our faith to make us firm. God is looking for whole and loyal people to represent him, but none of this is possible without testing. You won't be able to count it all joy when you meet various trials of various kinds, if you don't know what those trials are for. Your faith produces these things, and I'll elaborate in videos later. Faith helps conceive salvation. Ephesians 2:8, for by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing, it's the gift of God. Before I could put faith in action, faith must be conceived. Faith, for by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not your own doing, it's the gift of God. It takes faith to know grace for salvation to be birthed. When a person has been awakened by God's sovereignty and God's pursuit and just how good he is, that grace to a heart that is tired of the grindiness of sin will pop open faith, and that faith will conceive salvation. Faith comes by understanding. Romans 10:17, faith comes by hearing through the word of God. Once my salvation has been conceived and my faith has been conceived in who God is, there's been conversion there. Now my faith must build through hearing and understanding. Faith comes by hearing. I like the word hearing there, but that hearing really means understanding. That faith comes by understanding, and understanding through the word of Christ or the word of God. That in order for my faith to build, I have to go to the word of God to build it. That if I know that my faith has been conceived by the Father, I have to go to his word to find out what I'm supposed to do in specific areas. Hebrews 11:1 says faith is tangible. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. For faith is substance. I'm King James. Substance of things hoped for, and the evidence of things not seen. Anyway, faith is tangible. Right now, everybody is sitting by faith right now. Everybody. Because you walked into the room and you saw that no one fell on the floor, nobody came and tested the chair to see how faithful it is. You saw that everyone is seated, so I guess this chair is faithful to me. Right now, you have everyone in this room is walking by faith. The sad thing is, we walk more, we put more faith in our chairs than we put in Christ. So what we do when Christ wants us to do something, we check to see if it's sturdy. I don't know, God. Is this faithful? Is this going to hold me? And God's like, man, you put more faith in a chair than you do me. Because you know why we do? We see that chair all the time. But since God is a faithful daily God, you have to have faith in him every day. Faith must be pleasing. Hebrews 11:6, and without faith it's impossible to please him. For whoever would draw near to God must believe that he exists and that he rewards those who seek him. That's important. God is not pleased by anything else but faith. And without faith it's impossible to please him. Man, it ain't going to be cool if Brittany don't trust me. Like, it ain't pleasing to me if she be like, I don't trust you. That ain't pleasing. That ain't gonna make me feel good if she like, I got it, you ain't no good, and I've been proven to be good. Oh, I don't think you can handle that, but I done handled that for years. I won't be pleased by that. God ain't pleased in our doubting and worry, because he's like, bruh, I came through for you yesterday. You didn't have no food yesterday, but you had $5 in the back of that chair. I had your $5 slip out of your pocket to fall in your chair to feed you today. God is so strategic, you'd be like, man, I can't find that 20. But that 20 is for another day. And we got to be able to say, you know what, God? Man, you always come through for me, but that is a perspective. Faith is to God. 2 Corinthians 5 says, we walk by faith, not by sight. If you walk more by what you see, you'll stumble. Faith helps prayer, and whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive it if you have faith. I'll elaborate this more throughout the week. Faith must be developed. Jude 1:20, but ye, beloved, build up yourselves on your most holy faith, praying in the Holy Ghost. That's a good word. Praying in the Holy Ghost. Hey, we go to have church now. I'm joking. But ye, beloved, building up yourselves up on your most holy faith, praying in the Holy Ghost. I'll do that video probably tomorrow. Anyway, faith is deeper than belief. James 2:19. You believe that God is one, you do well. Even the demons believe and shudder. Faith is deeper than belief. You can believe God all day. Demons believe. It's got to be deeper than that. You know how many people believe in God? Believe in a God? But don't know that God? It's crazy that demons have more belief than we do. And they can't do nothing with that belief. Because they're eternally damned forever. But his own people. I believe God exists. I just don't believe he exists for this situation. But Josh, I never said that. Oh, you said it. You acted on it when you didn't give God time to come through. God is always late on our terms. Always on time for his. What's the song say? He may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. Not sometimes, not most of the times, all the time. You know why God comes late on our terms? You know that little buffer room when the bill is due? That buffer room where you like, God, I need you. That buffer room is for those who lift weights. If you lift the same weight 5 times every time, and you don't feel that resistance, you don't get stronger. There's a buffering period where he says, I'm just going to come about 5 days late this time. Because I just want to see how your arms shake. I want to see how weak your legs become. Because if you press through this buffering zone, you'll be built up enough strength for the next test. If he always came on time, there's no need for our faith to be tested. He has to come at a time where it opens the opportunity for doubt to come. He always comes at a period of time after you done talked to the devil, after you done, because look, he didn't come, God could have came and said, Eve, don't eat it. But Eve would have found out how good God was. If God would have stopped Adam and Eve from eating, instead of him being our Savior, he would have just been a babysitter. God saying, man, I have to watch how you pass this test. But Josh, why is God so quiet? Josh, I don't hear God talking. The teacher is always quiet during testing time. Because the teacher can't just give you answers all the time because you won't learn. But like when I give this story, what I always say is that with every test God gives you, it is always an open book test. All you have to do is say, okay, for this situation, I'm not going to rush by this test. This is an open book test. Don't get mad when God is quiet. He's in your presence. You know, in relationships it's interesting. The man and woman dynamics. I'm going to talk about this. It's okay. You love me. It's interesting how women like attention, not attention, but how women like to receive attention versus how a man likes to receive it. Like, there'll be times in the past, we don't do this now, but, you know, she'll be like, why are you not looking at me? Why are you not talking? I'd be like, you know why? I'm just happy that you're here. Your presence is giving me the opportunity to process things. It's something about the peaceful presence of someone that cares for you. That you don't gotta talk, you don't gotta say nothing. But sometimes just knowing he's there gives you time to process. That I don't need God to talk all the time. I'm just glad he's there. I'm glad I'm in a long distance relationship. I'm glad he's here. That when I'm going through a test, instead of begging him to sing and say a poem to me, let me just go to his love letter. We're always looking for God to just say another poem. Give me something. Say something magical, beautiful. Encouragement. God saying, I wrote 66 books for you. All you got to do to help you engage in this life is to read my word. Why would God trust you with his rhema word if you have yet to be trusted with his written word? Everybody wants God to say something, but you haven't gone through your Bible in months. God saying, until you love my word I've already written, until you love that, I'm not going to share everything, because that's the buffer and that's the lens you have to go through in order to understand the deep revelations of who I am. I have exercise for you this week. But do you have the faith for it and to soar it? Write down below how wide you want to go with your life. In other words, what you want out of life. Your faith level and what you must do to build your faith for it to sustain it. The exercise for you this week, and after I pray, I'll let you guys know about this 5-week plan, and then we'll have Alicia share a couple of pieces, and then we'll fellowship. I have a card game that we might play if y'all want to play it, called Memory Muscle. We might play that. Let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for who you are. I appreciate you. Lord, the fights we have to face, but oh, how thankful we are we don't have to fight them alone. We don't have to use the king's armor. We don't have to use anybody else's resources but you. Lord, there's a lot of things we want to become and a lot of things we want to do, but we don't have the faith built for it. Help us to face our battles and our tests fully, so that we can be strong and steadfast when the real fight comes. Help us know how to take the hits in practice, so when there's fight night, we'll know how to win. We love you, Father, for this message. I pray it's signed, sealed, and delivered in their hearts, and it'll reign deep inside them for days to come. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. This little sheet of paper right here is just a 5-week plan. The reason why Unplug is one Sunday a month and one Thursday a month is because I think over time we've made preachers and pastors the sole source of our spiritual development versus working at our own salvation individually. That church is a community, but if we only eat what the pastor's cooking and don't know how to cook for ourselves, we could be poisoned. So my job is to make sure that I give you resources, whether you use them or not, is to give you resources that will have you ask questions to yourself daily, process things daily for the next time until we have this on October 7th, so that you will be able to say, okay, am I really growing? That at the end of every month you can really examine to see, did I grow this week? What's the point of growing without measuring growth? Because anyone who runs a business, if you don't measure the growth, you don't know where to invest, you don't know what to do, because you're just out here just doing stuff. But if you say, man, I grew 2% this month. I documented that I grew in love in this area. Man, so much joy will flood into the next month. This worksheet is a guide for the next 5 weeks. Today or tomorrow, we'll grab you a fresh notebook to partner with this worksheet so that you can reflect and measure the growth of your faith. Take some time to really engage with your readings and with the possible resistances during your week. Simple. Faith goals for the week, September 3rd through the 9th. Write down the first page of your notebook the areas you want your faith to grow, and I want you to write down your goals for this week to grow your faith. Also on this sheet, write down the people and things you are going to commit to prayer. So on your first page of your notebook, just write down your goals. Next point, beside each day, put an R if you read and a P if you prayed. S is for September. I messed up on the S's. That's September 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. But I didn't do it for the rest of them. But those are the next days after the 9th of September. So the reading plan. Reading plan, the memory verse for week 1 is Ephesians 2:8, which says, "For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing, it's the gift of God." Some of us know that by heart, but I want you guys on that notebook to write it a bunch of times. Write down how you can use that word in prayer. Write down that verse on how you can use it in different situations, etc. The readings for this week is Proverbs 3 through 9. Basically goes with the days of the week. Proverbs September 3rd is Monday. So Proverbs 3 is what you read. Matthew 1 through 5. So the gospel that we're going to read this month is Matthew. So just read Matthew 1 through 5 this week. Proverbs 3 through 9. And in your notebook, write down, like the next point, what were your favorite verses in Proverbs? Next point, what stuck out to you most during your readings in Matthew? Write down that notebook so you kind of see what you're learning from the Word of God. Next point, next question. In what ways was your faith tested this week? Write that down. Hey, man, I was really tested with this call. I want to punch you through the throat. You know, be honest. Nobody going to read this notebook. I want to choke that dude out for you. I understand that your faith was tested. And I want you to write down in what ways did your faith grow this week. Because the more you write things down, you'll be able to see, man, I'm really weak with my patience, yo. I ain't really as kind like I think. I'm New York kind. You know, I ain't down south kind. You know what I'm saying? You might want to get a southern kind of kindness. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, in what ways did your faith grow? On a scale of 1 to 10, how was your week? Scale of 1 to 10, write down how your week was. What adjustments do you need to make? And where can you improve? This simple plan, if you do this, very simple. It's like basketball. We just teach you how to dribble with the right hand and left hand. This is very simple things, but the more you get these things into practice, when it's time to release the big stuff, the big boy, the big girl stuff, then we'll be able to really understand how to finish with the right hand, with the left hand when it's time to lay up. Anyway, that's your worksheet for the rest of this month. Let's get it for Alicia.